Welcome to a typical day on safari. I'm going to share my camera. Hello, everyone. I am Karen Cleveland. I am co-founder of Nunus Kenyan Safaris. One of the questions a lot of people ask me is, what's a day like on safari? And it's a really good question because we have these images that are created through the movies, through the advertisements of what a safari might look like. But what is it really like when you're on safari? I'm going to show you what it's really like. So a new day dawns over the savanna. There is light. It's expansive. It's beautiful. The animals are everywhere across the plains. What does the day hold in store? So first, I want to say to you that it's a little bit of a trick question because there is no typical day on safari. Every day is a different day because there are so many different options. So I'm going to give you some of the examples of what might happen. Now, if you're on a safari, a group safari with me, with one of Nunu's signature safaris, we might start the day with a morning sunrise meditation or prayer. This is totally optional. The group safaris have a lot of options, and you don't have to do anything except this is what I tell people. You have to get in the vehicle when we're going from one park to another. Otherwise, what you do is somewhat up to you. You might start with this sunrise meditation, or you might start with a swim if you like to swim. So Jeffrey was on one of my trips, and he swam every day. Every time I went past the pool, I would see Jeffrey swimming in it. He says when he got home, he was swimming faster and he was lighter than when he left for safari. So you might start with a sunrise swim. If you're a jogger, there's a park where you can run in the morning with the rangers, and you might see some of the wild animals out there while you're running with the rangers. This is a minimum 5K, so you need to be able to run a 5K without stopping in order to do this, but it's an option if that's what you want to do. Sometimes what we do is we get up early and we go to a Maasai village before it gets too hot, because standing, watching, talking to them can get kind of hot during the midday sun. They show us some of their traditions. Another thing that might happen is a hot air balloon ride. Sunrise hot air balloon ride over Masai Mara. Now, does that look peaceful? It is. It is. This was when I went up last year. So you could start the day in a hot air balloon ride, followed by a bush breakfast. Yes, they will give you breakfast in the bush if you want to. But no matter what way you want to start your day, wherever we are, it's all going to be a little bit different. The options are going to be a little bit different, but eventually we're probably going to climb into a vehicle and go out and look for animals. So this might be first thing after breakfast. It might be at sunrise. It might be after lunch. It just depends on where we are and what the day holds for us. Usually you want to go, but you don't have to go on every game drive if you don't want to. You never know what you're going to miss. And if you do get tired of standing and looking out, I just want you to know that the windows are extra big in the vehicles, so you can sit down and watch out too. Now, last year, after the balloon ride, this is what was waiting for us at the bottom. These lions, they were actually in our spot, so we had to land somewhere else. But imagine seeing that just before breakfast. But we continue on going through the game drives. There's two cheetahs here in this picture. One's in the tree. The zebras, the wildebeests. In fact, depending on the time of year you go, you might see part of the wildebeest migration. It's generally July through September, sometime in then, and you just don't know until you see it. Let me go to the next slide. There's just thousands and thousands and thousands of wildebeests making the migration route. And this is actually very few of them. This was the very tail end one November. And I was really lucky to catch it because normally by November they are long gone back into Tanzania. So I got really lucky seeing them. But you also might see the elephants, walking. You, we just stop and we watch and we just sit and be still with them. Yeah, so here's some more of these aren't wildebeest, these are buffalo. These are the Cape buffalo and zebras. There's all kinds of animals we might see while we're out on a drive, whether it's the morning or afternoon. Baby ostriches. Have you ever seen baby ostriches? Aren't those the cutest little things? And of course, lions. Are there any special animals that you want to see on safari? I think it's important for you to know what you want to see so that you can pick the right kind of safari for you because there's so many kinds of safaris. You want to make sure you get the right one or you at least have the opportunity to see what you want to see because you don't see all animals on all safaris. So you do be want to be aware of that. I mean, cute enough to pet, aren't they? Love the lions, of course. I have a short story about a friend that went, Dee. She she loves elephants. Elephants are completely her thing. So when she came, we had to make sure we saw elephants. One day, it was only a couple of us in the vehicle out on safari, and these four elephants came past us. So the driver turned off the car and we just sat there and we were with these four elephants. They were in our space. They were very curious and sensitive to us. And it was the most amazing experience for both of us. But she, in particular, was profoundly affected in a good way by this experience and being with the elephants in this situation. So after a game drive, around noon, 1, 2 o'clock, it's lunchtime, right? So we might go back to a lodge for lunch. You might sit out on a deck, or depending on where we are and what we're doing, we might have a bush lunch. So we might just stop, like this is in Masai Mara. Some days we are gone all day just because the places that we want to go are not reachable within just a couple hours, and we want to get a full experience of all the animals. So like driving to the river, for example, to see the crocodiles and the hippos, we want to make sure we can get there and get back and see all the animals along the way because we don't just drive there and drive back. We stop, we look for animals. You never know what you're going to see. So there's often a break if it's a long day for a drive. There's often a break where we get out. This is in Amboseli. In the upper left, you can see Mount Kilimanjaro. Fun fact, in case you don't know, Mount Kilimanjaro is in Tanzania, but the pictures that you see of it are taken from Kenya. The wildlife, the elephants in front of it or the giraffes in front of it, those are all taken from Amboseli in Kenya. So then after lunch, we might get back and go for a game drive, or we might go for a water game drive to see hippos, to see eagles and other birds, pelicans, flamingos. This particular picture's in Amboseli. There's animals back there behind the flamingos as well. Or we might just hang out at our lodge. And some of the lodging we can view the animals right from where we are. This is one of my favorite places to stay. So those are water bucks and zebras in the picture. Some of them have water holes, which attract the animals. So you can sit there during lunch or after lunch or in the morning, anytime, and just watch the animals. This is in Savo East. This is back at the same place as the zebras and the waterbucks were, where the lodges are not too far from here. These were two giraffes. My understanding is that they are competing. They're teenagers, and this is not a fight exactly, but a way that they show dominance. Look at how small the zebras are. Isn't that incredible how big those giraffes are? This was my very first safari ever. So amazing, aren't they? And later that day, I saw a different giraffe. I ran into a different giraffe on a trail. At this particular place, you're supposed to have an escort when you leave your room and go to certain parts of the property. So I found this beauty on a trail and just kind of had to stop until they went wherever they were going. So they are wild animals, so you need to be careful that you don't get hurt by them. Also, here's another place. This is called Old Pagetta. This is another place that you can sit and watch the animals from lunch, from breakfast. There's a water hole there. I mean, honestly, these are the best days. So this is a blind. So this particular lodge has a tunnel and you can come up and there's just enough exposed at the top of the room that you walk to that you can look out and see the animals at the water hole. So that they call that a blind. And then there is a barrier between this buffalo and me, but it was still a little bit intimidating because they are one of the most dangerous animals. Don't you just love how the birds are on them? See, look at them, look at me. It's like, oh my gosh, it was kind of frightening. Then there's also sometimes an option for horseback riding with the wild animals. Again, depends on where you are, but there are quite a few horses in Kenya. I was surprised. And then there's different conservancy action. And it was an amazing experience to see this blind rhinoceros, Baraka, truly an ambassador for all the rhinoceros. We were able to touch him and be with him. He's blind by natural causes, but going to the conservancies and seeing some of the work they're doing is also another possible option on a typical day. The rhinoceroses are beautiful, and this is a rhinoceros cemetery that we stopped at. But then the elephants at Sheldrick Wildlife Trust, there's 4 different places you can see the elephants, depending on your situation, if you're a foster parent or not. This is, I mean, truly transformational, amazing experience to see what they do with these elephants. These elephants are then reintegrated into the wild. So they are orphaned for natural or man-made reasons. There's so many reasons they're orphaned and they don't always know why. So, they get left behind from the herd, the mother is poached, or so many things happen. They end up with these babies that aren't ready to be on their own yet. And so they work with them and they reintegrate them into the wild. They feed them until they're ready to be on their own, and the elephant makes their own decision when they're ready to go. So eventually it's been a long day and it's going to be time for dinner sooner or later. Some of the facilities have a lot of their own gardens and they harvest some of their own items. So depending again on where you're staying and the kind of safari you're on, if it's a group safari or an individual safari, you might have a private table for dinner. You might be part of a group table for dinner. And I want to talk about food options for a minute. This is dessert pretty much, but at all these lodges, they're pretty good about special diets. Yeah, I always advise people to bring their own food bars just in case to tide them over if one place doesn't really quite have a lot of options. I have a special diet and I don't have a problem eating. They know things about gluten-free and about vegan. They don't call them these things necessarily, but they are aware of all these special diets that the Westerners are bringing in. So, it's just something we need to set up ahead of time so they know. Then after dinner, you might want to hang out in the lounge or the bar. Several of the places have bars if that is your kind of thing to do. When you're ready for bed, you can go to bed. This is one of the tented camps. So it is a canvas tent. You can see that the windows are rolled down. It's just a screen, but there's in the back, there's an actual bathroom. There's a floor, there's carpet, there's closets, there's running water, there's a shower, there's electricity. So that's a tented camp. This is a room in a lodge that actually out these windows is where all those wild animals were that we saw, the zebras and giraffes. So lodging, is entirely up to you too. What's your comfort level? What's your luxury level? What's your budget level? Because you can go as high end as you want, $10,000 a night, or you can go camping for under $100 a night. So where do you fit in? And I will say that the dollar amount is not equal to the level of luxury or comfort. So just because something is more expensive doesn't make it nicer, and it doesn't mean a less expensive place is not a nice place. Depends on what you want, what you expect, and make sure you find out before you go if you are picky about it. And there's also smaller lodges that we go to sometimes, specialty lodges for special safaris. Or instead of going to bed, you can stay up and watch the animals at night. It's a little bit hard to see them down there. This is winter solstice several years ago, but there are some animals down there. This is the same place. There's hippos too. This is the place you have to have an escort to go, especially at night, because hippos are truly one of the most dangerous animals to humans. So you can do some night watching right from your bedroom, right from your room. This was elephants at a water hole in a place called Salt Lick in Tsavo, Taita Hills, actually, in Tsavo, in Kenya. What do you want to do? What is yours to do? We do go out, we do go drive, we see animals. Maybe one day we'll see Craig. Craig is the oldest super tusker. He's in the Amboseli region of Kenya. You want to swim, you want to be in a nice semi-luxurious place. Do you want to do more cultural immersion and viewing for that kind of stuff? Animals, elephants. What's the animals you want to see? And I mean, look at all those zebras. That's fun for me. I love zebras. Gazelles and lions, of course, always lions. It's silly to see them in poses sometimes that we don't think of them as, but they're really just big cats, really just big cats. So regal, so beautiful. And then if there's special animals you want to see, this is the gravy zebra. Now you cannot see this everywhere. So if this is something you want to see, you have to make sure the trip you're on is going to go to the parks where this zebra exists. It's pretty special. Those really thin black lines, zebra lines. It's pretty amazing. So different. It's going to make a difference on the size group you're in. So if you're on a group safari, you're going to follow their agenda, but there will be flexibility in it. Do you want to, this isn't actually a large group. This is still considered a small group. It's under 18 people. But I would say it's a larger small group. And then there's very small groups you can be a part of, and you can go alone. So what's your preference? It's up to you to decide. And there the zebras are walking away. They're saying goodbye. Another night falls. So beautiful and peaceful out there on the savannah in the bush. So that's your day. So what's next? You should have received the safari planning guide when you got access to this video. So read through that. It's going to ask you 10 questions that you should answer before you decide what safari is best for you. And I talked about some of them throughout the slides here. But go ahead and answer that. And then also in it, make sure you open it up because also is your timeline to-do list. So what do you need to do right now if you're going in a year? What do you need to do in 6 months, ahead of time? I want to share just one of Nunus group signature safaris. So this is an example of our land and sea spectacular, Safari Harmony. So this is one of the itineraries we've put together. So this is Amboseli National Park first. You see the giraffes in front of Mount Kilimanjaro. That swimming pool, I believe, is in it's either Sopa or Serena, Amboseli. And then Amboseli, see the elephant in the water? It's a different ecosystem there. They have a lot of like marshy, floody areas, and you can see hippos and elephants in there eating all the time. It's a lot of fun to watch them in there. But then we go to Salt Lick, and here's where there's a water hole right under the restaurant, basically. But from all those rooms, you can see the water hole day or night. Animals come through all the time. So when you're not out on a game drive, you can potentially just be sitting in your room or in the bar, in the lobby, in the restaurant, watching the animals. Then we head to Savo East. And at Salvo East is where it's where the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust is. So you might have a personal experience with the elephants. There's lions. This is where the cheetahs, where I took this picture of the cheetahs. And then after all our game drives, all our safari viewing, then we get to go do the water safari viewing. They have beautiful beaches in Kenya. This is in a place called Watamu. The snorkeling is actually you take a boat out to where the reef is, the coral reef is, and you can go snorkeling. Depending on the time of year, there might be orcas, whales, there might be dolphins. So, and any possibility of the different kind of sea animals plus turtles, baby turtles. So this is an example of a group safari, but we will also carefully curate a private safari for you. A visit to the Giraffe Center or Giraffe Manor. Look at all those animals out there in the middle picture at Salt Lick at the water hole. And then, there's someone with her adopted elephant at Sheldrick Trust. So now, as you begin to piece together what you want to do, if you want to talk about safari with someone and need some advice, book an appointment with me. It's a free 15-minute appointment. I'm going to send you some questions first so we make the best use of our time. And we can talk about what is the best safari, where's the best place for you to go, what's the best situation for you. So you can either book it from this link, and also there's a link in the email, book an appointment, or you can also just hit reply to the email and say, hey, Karen, I want to talk to you. I have questions. I happily answer any questions. So, and why would you trust me? Why go with me? So I've been taking people on safari for several years. I am a certified travel advisor. I first became a travel advisor, then we called them travel agents, way back in 1991. So a long time ago, long time ago. Let me just tell you, it took me a really long time before I went on my first safari. And that was because I just didn't know how to do it, who to trust, where to go. I didn't know anything about it. And it's a lot of money, and it's an investment in both time and money. So, And to be honest, I thought it was a lot more expensive than it ended up being. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised at how inexpensive a safari really is if you're not doing top of the level luxury safaris. I really think that everyone needs to get out and see safari, and I believe that everyone deserves it. If this is something on your bucket list, you deserve to do it and you don't have to wait. My next safari, I had someone who had to cancel because she started having heart problems. I mean, she's retired. She's been waiting for this. She's been waiting to go on safari, and now she can't come on safari. So I really encourage you to look at how you can make time because your heart, your soul, your connection with the animals and the land is really important and it will be transformational. I've never had anyone not come back a new individual after being on safari. There's just something about being out there with the wild animals, looking these wild animals in the eye and having them see you and you see them. That's really important. So make an appointment with me. I'd love to talk with you. And I also do some live video live information seminars, via Zoom. So be looking in your email for those notifications to come up that, I do them kind of randomly throughout the year. And thank you for watching. I'm really grateful that you signed up for this and watched this. And now that you have an idea about what a safari is like, let me know what other questions you have, and I look forward to talking with you later.